Thank you. Go ahead.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So I'm Mabel Mangrobang. So the topic for tonight is climate change and how business analysis can make an impact. So first, I would like to introduce myself first. So I'm Mabel. I'm actually working for World Vision International. I'm their corporate engagement due diligence advisor and strategy analyst. So as a strategy analyst, I also support carbon footprinting for the organization. So I'm the one who made the carbon footprint tool for the organization. And yeah, so it's great to learn these things. I'm sure you have heard some, about this topic. You can read a lot about this in LinkedIn or in other websites. So okay, so first, what is climate change? Okay, so we know for sure you have already an idea what climate change is, right? But climate change, it is a long-term shift in global or regional climate patterns that have come to define Earth's local, regional, and global climates. So it encompasses not only rising average temperatures, but also extreme weather events. So here, um, well, we haven't asked you to share your details like your name or your role and what company you're working for. So you can also share that in the chat so we can later we can uh greet each other. It's nice to meet with other professionals or business analysts here in the Philippines. So yeah, so if you don't mind, you can share your name, role, and your organization. And perhaps you can also share if you have experience, with greenhouse gas emissions data collections or footprint calculations previously. So, just to have an idea. Okay. So this slide shows us that there's already a um, built up greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, which is driven by human activities. So as we speak, actually, we continue to add to this greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, right? So you can see here, there are still factories, there are cars, even our consumption of meat, especially beef, that also adds emissions, carbon emissions. We travel, right? So especially the air travel, that contributes a lot to carbon emissions. And also our use of electricity, especially here in the Philippines, we use air conditioning because it's so hot. We use lots of electronics. We have a lot of gadgets and everything, laptops. You know, so all these consumptions adds up. So it adds to the built up greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So in World Vision, our focus is actually more on children, and we had an analysis that framed the major external trends affecting people, especially children, now and in the future. And um, we have learned that climate, conflict, COVID, and cost, these are external trends that affect especially children. And of course, this webinar is about climate change. So we will focus on climate. But on the following slide, you can see the tipping point. So Later, I'll show you the tipping points where change reaches critical thresholds and flips irreversibly to a new state. So, um, if you can see here, this one shows the climate risk index. So there are places that are more affected by climate change. And actually, the Philippines, where we are, is one of them, as you can see, because of the dark purple color of our country. So there are also, yeah, see that even the rainforest die back, the monsoon shift, glaciers are melting, coral reef are dying. You know, these are effects of climate change. So you can see here in this slide, so this is based on a website. You can see here the link. It says here that by 2070, there are places in the world that will be uninhabitable. So you can see the Philippines. So it may be too hot to support habitability, and it's so concerning when I saw this slide. Really, it's very concerning because, of course, we are here in the Philippines and we are actually experiencing extreme hot weathers now compared to when we were little, right? So we can really attest to this that it gets hotter and hotter, you know, and we can really feel it's before when we hear about climate change, I could only make my concept it's only about the future, but now no. I mean, we can really experience the effects of climate change even at our own time. So this is NASA sea level projection when uh, this is based on a 2 degrees Celsius temperature rise. So we are limiting our so the climate action now is we are trying to limit the temperature rise to 1.5 degrees because if it reaches 2 degrees, that is already too much. So even here, Bangladesh, so below the tide line after 2.5 degrees Celsius of global warming, and blue if the global warming is 1.5 degrees centigrade. So, um, so you can see the red area there, that is already below tide line area. So just to make it more closer to us, this is in the Philippines. I can send you the link. I can share with you the link where I got this slide. So I just got a screenshot there where you can see the long-term sea level outcomes. So you can see a lot of places here in Metro Manila are affected. As you can see, the pink color in the screen. So actually, I find the link that website quite helpful also when you're planning to, for example, buying a house in the future. For example, you're finding a property to settle down or whatever. So or have a rest house somewhere. Of course, you don't want to choose a place that is not safe in the future, right? So I can share the link with you later, um, because this is very crucial in terms of our decision making, even in our personal lives, right? So the future projections. So by 2100, the temperature will be is projected to rise by 2.7 degrees. So in previous slides, you can see that the projected rise is only up to 2.5 or 2. So by 2100, we don't know the effects of this, um, how worse it will be, and it could already reach the tipping point. It says here that if tipping points are reached, impacts on children and communities will be very severe as coping mechanisms are overwhelmed. So this one, how do business analysts contribute professionally? This is actually one of my purpose in this webinar, because we can see, because I'm involved in carbon footprinting in the organization I work for. I can see a lot of opportunities, especially abroad, in Europe, in the US, and of course, um, business analysts here in the Philippines support international companies, right? For sure, all of you as well. We all support, we all work for international companies, and business analysts abroad are keeping up with this need. So I don't want to. So that's why I want to share this with you guys, because there's already there's the need, there's a big need for, there's a massive need for sustainability, and there's because of there's so much need, it also opens a lot of opportunities for business analysts. So this is something that you can consider learning. So later I will also share with you an overview of the carbon footprinting. Okay, just to give you an idea what sustainability analytics is. You can see here the evolution of climate science and policy. So as early as 1850s, greenhouse effect is already observed. So you can see here that there are organizations like NATO. So NATO, NATO is the first international body to address climate change. And then in 1988, the IPCC, or this is actually UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So that's when it is established by the UN. Then in 1994, there's the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. Then 1997, there's Kyoto Protocol, 2016 Paris Agreement. It's just called Paris Agreement because that's where Paris is where leaders from different organizations and leaders from all around the world agreed to really work on climate change. Okay, so why do we need carbon footprint? Why do we need that? So of course we can't manage what we can't measure. So as you can see here, so what is carbon footprinting for? So of course, it is an estimate of the greenhouse gas emissions from a specific entity over a defined period of time. So you can see, so here, this is where it started. There's the IPCC started giving guidelines for greenhouse gas inventories, and then there's the greenhouse gas protocol. So until now, this is internationally recognized. So the national methods, this is the national methods where then translated to create standards for entity level accounting and project accounting. This is a tool for regulation and for market development and also for leadership. So the greenhouse gas protocol, it shows entity level accounting, life cycle accounting, project accounting. So when we say carbon footprinting, this is actually the carbon accounting that we're talking about here. So there's a standard being followed, internationally, and we follow the greenhouse gas protocol. So there are different standards already out, but the greenhouse gas protocol standard, this is the most, I think, most widely used standard as of now. So there's also, you can see that there's progression of private sector climate leadership. So we don't have to tackle each one. But this is just to show you that there are standards being followed now. You can see there are different organizations that came up, to help on this. So start from 1997 to 2022, you see a lot of companies already helping. So even in community leadership, you know, there are protocols and standards already written that the governments are using. So even for community leadership, the greenhouse gas protocols also release a standard for them. Okay, and then there's also higher education leadership. So so in 1997, there's already UNH Sustainability Institute. UNH is University of New Hampshire. If you are if you have an opportunity to 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 learn about carbon footprinting, I highly recommend the UNH carbon footprinting certificate. That's the one that I got. UNH is, yeah, University of New Hampshire. It's in the US. Um, what's I think it's very comprehensive. You will learn a lot from that class. Actually, for to get the carbon footprinting certificate, you need to attend like 4 to 5 classes. And here, they're also in 2017, they created SIMAP. Actually, this is actually UNH carbon footprinting tool. Okay, so there's a lot of benefits, okay, of tracking and reporting greenhouse gas emissions. Of course, aside from this shareholder understanding, planning and resource allocation, accountability, demonstration of what is possible. So Of course, when we started carbon footprinting in World Vision, our first objective, of course, is to reduce our emission because we already we were made aware of the need to contribute to this area to for climate action. And of course, ultimately, our goal is to reduce our emissions. But but in order to reduce our carbon emission, we first need to track how much emissions do we actually contribute to the community, to the world. Because you cannot just say, okay, we will reduce our air travel, for example, but we cannot report whether how much emissions we have reduced, right? And before before we could actually do that, but actually now the governments are actually requiring more from the companies. I don't know if you have heard, if you are working for a US company, especially if if your headquarters, for example, is located in California, because in California, it is the first state in the US that made a law about greenhouse gas reporting, and now it is now a law. They passed that. I think I don't know if it was just last month or last 2 months. They passed a law requiring big companies. I think if the company's revenue is 1 billion above, those companies are required to report their greenhouse gas emissions. So there's more pressure now than before. It's not just to contribute something. It's not enough to they require not only for the organization to do something, but to really prove that they really reduce their emissions by reporting, how much do you contribute, and also not only how much do you contribute, but also what are your plans to reduce your emissions. And I heard also in Europe, um, there also I heard once my boss actually told us that in Germany there was a meeting attended by executives from different big companies, multinational companies, and they're saying that um they would need like 100,000 staff for this for for this area of work. And if there's that opportunity, I want, of course, more Filipinos to have that opportunity to support on that one, because you know of course, if you can support that, you know there's also a benefit on you. This is quite I don't know if this is needed for this presentation, but if you're open to it, I can share with you that the global warming potential. This is just okay. So this measures how much energy the emissions of 1 ton of a gas will absorb over a period of time relative to the emissions of 1 ton of carbon dioxide. So it just means that for 100-year AR5 GWP. So AR5, it is the fifth assessment reporting released by UN's IPCC. Remember a while ago I mentioned IPCC or Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They're the one who released this global warming potential. It just tells us that um, because we all know there are different gases, right? And we're very familiar with carbon dioxide. But there are different kinds like methane and nitrous oxide that is given here. It just shows us that, for example, methane, for 100 years, the effect of methane is 28 times worse than carbon dioxide. And nitrous oxide, it's 265 times worse than carbon dioxide. So you can see in the calculation example here. So the 100 kilogram of that gas, of each gas, is multiplied by the global warming potential of that gas to get the carbon dioxide equivalent. So you may not, you may find it quite confusing or overwhelming to see numbers, but it's if you really learn about this one, this is I'm sure it will be very easy for you because it's just multiplying and adding them all together. Okay. So this is also this may not be part of the overview of carbon footprinting, but I just added this one because um greenhouse gas emissions reporting, it is reported by scopes. Okay. So the greenhouse gas protocol has emission classification systems. So you will not see, for example, um, of course, we all know this scopes. These are based on activities of the companies. For example, business travel. Of course, companies have business travels, right? And when you report that, the greenhouse gas reporting, they have this classification system. So, so what are these? So scope one are emissions. Okay, so that arise from sources owned and operated by the organization. So under scope one are stationary emissions, mobile emissions, fugitive emissions, process emissions. So these are actually so there are different kinds of emissions under scope one. So examples are emissions from heating sources. For example, just using fuel. Leaks from refrigeration and air conditioning units. And for example, another example are fertilizers and emissions from animals. For example, the company for example, the company you're working for is selling milk, for example. So that company could own cows, right? And they use so when you have cows, that well actually they contribute a lot of carbon dioxide emissions. So that is included under scope one. So scope two are indirect emissions from the generation of purchased energy. So from our utility providers. So in other words, these are emissions released in the atmosphere from the consumption of purchased electricity, as well as steam, heat, and cooling. So of course, uh, we can we can report our electricity consumption using our Miracle for example. But if we have electric vehicles, the emissions from its energy consumption would fall also under scope 2. Then lastly, scope 3. So these are all indirect emissions that are linked to our operations. So this includes upstream activities like air travel, business mileage, using private vehicles. So we also have emissions from waste generated in operations, purchase goods and services, transportation and distribution, energy related activities during transmission and distribution, um, yeah, and many more. Actually, there's a lot of um, categories under scope 3 that are included here. So these are actually this scope 1, 2, and 3. These are activities of the companies that we may or may not know that are contributing to carbon emissions. So, of course, to start calculating the emissions, we first need to determine the activity data that are expected to make the bulk of our emissions. So for World Vision, these are vehicles actually, because of course we have programmings, right? So the employees or the staff would go to area programs. We have a lot of emissions coming from vehicles. We also have in-house fuel because World Vision is present in about more than 100 countries, and there are offices that are located in um, very cold places, for example. So they also need heating, for example. Okay, so yeah, so this slide is just to give you an idea of what the greenhouse gas emissions reporting looks like, because if you will see one, for example, the, at least you have an idea that the greenhouse gas reporting has its own classification system, and these are by scopes. Okay, so the summary of our background presentation. So what are the effects of climate change globally? How can we contribute? And what are the opportunities in sustainability? Greenhouse gas accounting is a tool for addressing climate change, of course, because as I mentioned, you cannot manage what you don't measure. So we have to do, we really need to do carbon footprinting. And yeah, we have learned that there are standards that exist. They're sector specific and relatively aligned. Okay, so as of now, they are still imperfect, but they continue to evolve. And also the benefits are multiple. What we have mentioned, the effects of climate change that we can now experience. And of course, we don't want our children or our next generation to experience worse than what we experience now. So yeah, so in a world where global challenges like climate change, social inequality, and environmental degradation continue to dominate the headlines. Okay, so the role of business analysts has taken on a new vital dimension. So no longer are we solely responsible for crunching numbers and generating reports. Today's business analysts are at the forefront of driving, sustainability and corporate social responsibility initiatives. So as you have seen earlier, there are roles open. You can see um, in different um, career sides. Let's say that there are, pivotal roles that business analysts can play, in creating creating a more sustainable, and socially responsible business landscape. Well, we all know that the primary function of business analysts is to gather and analyze data, right? So in the context of sustainability and corporate social responsibility, this entails tracking a wide range of metrics related to companies' environmental and social impact. These metrics might include carbon emissions, water usage, water generation, for example, and diversity and inclusion statistics. So BAs now can actually provide companies with valuable insights into their performance. So to help them and to help the companies understand where they stand in terms of sustainability goals and identify areas for improvement. So many businesses today actually recognize the importance of aligning their strategies with their values and principles. So as BAs, we can, help facilitate this alignment, by evaluating the company's goals and objectives against their sustainability and CSR ambitions. So we can actually help bridge the gap between aspirations and actions. So to enable, our organizations to not only, talk the talk, but also walk the walk when it comes to sustainability and social responsibility. So yeah, so yeah, thank you for your participation and hoping that you'll be one with us in climate action. So we are not, as I said, we are not just BAs crunching numbers. We are here shaping a better, more responsible and sustainable tomorrow for us all. Yeah.
Thank you, Mabel. Another call for questions. Maybe Christian or Trisha, you maybe have a question.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was very informative, and I'm curious. For your group in particular, Mabel, how many
Mhm.
are you in your group that are paying attention to the carbon footprint? Is
Mm,
it being done per location, or do you have like a
okay.
or is it one group doing it for everyone, consolidating the information for the company? How's that work?
Okay. We have for World Vision, actually we have a team called ESCA. It's environmental, social, wait, I'm not sure about environmental sustainability and climate action group. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
So we work so because I am part of the strategy realization evidence and innovation team. So as part of the strategy team, we are working with ESCA on this one on carbon footprinting because ESCA is the one really pushing on climate action. So they're the ones working with our offices, with the different offices in terms of how to reduce our emissions. Um, so we are working with different teams actually. So
And
when
those
it
different. Sorry, go ahead.
actually because it's a non-profit organization, the layout of the organization is quite different because as I said we have ESCA group and we are part of the strategy team. But for carbon footprinting, if you're asking about the carbon footprinting only, so me and my boss are the ones doing that for the organization. But of course, it's just the two of us, and it's as I said, the work is so massive because even for example for gathering the data itself, it's a lot already for two people, right? So we are working with a lot of groups. So for example, we're working with Provision. We have a team called Provision. So they are um like we checked our system. So we have a system called Provision. Um, so we checked our system, and then we are the ones working with them how to improve our system so that um we can capture what we need for carbon footprinting. For example, for electricity, um, because for to report carbon emissions from electricity, we need to get the carbon consumption itself. However, in our system, we only have the amount that we pay for our electricity providers, utility providers, for example, Meralco here in the Philippines. So it's not enough, right? So we want that moving forward, we can get the data from the system and we don't have to ask, different offices to give us the data. So that's one thing that we're working on as well is to improve the system that we have. Yeah. Yeah, actually there's a lot to be done even in World Vision. Because we have just started this one, but there's, as I mentioned, because California has already passed the law, and we learned that in Europe they're not only asking companies to report greenhouse gas emissions, but also their plan on how to reduce the emissions. So there are more pressure now for the companies, I would say.
Okay, and well, I guess since we're all probably all corporate here, so what does you need World Vision sounds like they need a more integratable data collection system, right? More seamless, more automated. Are they looking forward? Are they looking to outsource any of that work, or are they trying to do that all in-house? And if there are any service providers here that are interested with maybe working with World Vision, I think I'm interested myself. But if there's anyone here interested in working with you guys, then what would be the next steps? How do you share information on the services that you're looking to or open to outsourcing?
Actually, I'm not aware if they're outsourced because we have who's based
Hello?
in
Sorry,
Laguna.
your audio is a bit soft.
Um, yeah,
There, that's better.
and yeah, matters. Um, I'm not really aware of outsourcing.
I'm sorry, it's getting
Um,
choppy again. I don't know if it's just me.
hello.
There.
Okay. I'm not aware if there's any opportunity, for example, for outsourcing job
Okay.
from
Well,
provision for now. Yeah, but I know there are volunteering opportunities, perhaps in the national office, but in this line of work, I'm not sure.
oh, okay. Okay. Well, sure. Um, that's fine. Well, you can let me know in case there is anything because Cognizant in particular could
Mhm.
provide services in terms of automating the whole entire system and data collection. Well, I guess it would depend on the
Okay.
scale.
Mm-hmm.
if it needs to be like the entire system and it's a big enough contract, we'd certainly be interested.
I see.
And we could make a case for the
Mm-hmm.
Philippines to service it. So yeah, I'd love to find out more.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I'll just stop my presentation. Do you have any questions about the presentation? I don't know if you learned something.
And it's very interesting. It sounds like there's a lot of opportunity. And I don't know if you have this information at hand, but so we were talking about how this is, being done with the big corporates, but what if you're a small business owner? What if you're like if you're looking to start a small business, where would you say is the best place to start?
Well, of course, we already have solar panels. I know, like for World Vision, that's one thing that um we're investing on. But we have a lot of offices. And of course, we are consuming electricity. Of course, we need that. That's a necessity. There are ways actually to offset. I did mention a while ago that there are ways to offset the emissions. And World Vision is actually selling offset. Um, what's the idea of offset? So, for example, for World Vision, we have programs. Um, it's called FMNR. So the FMNR, it's for example, it's a dry land already, but there were existing trees before in that area. But now, but because they cut trees for so long, it's now a dry land. There's a there's a program World Vision does that they can regenerate the roots under the land, even if they are already very very dry. They've been there for so many years. So that's one of the because for me that really struck me because um FMNR is it's really really good. It's a very good program. Like even if you look at the land and you see that it's a hopeless place, for example, but it's not. I don't know how they do it because I'm not part of that, but but they can really make it work. Like they can make a dry land like a forest again, like that. And there are programs that World Vision does that has been approved. So there's a it's a so offset. So the idea of offset is there's a company, for example, World Vision has a program, let's say FMNR, and that is being used by organization. So there are um, approving third party organizations like Gold Standard. You can search that Gold Standard. So Gold Standard need to certify programs of different companies and they sell them to other companies who are interested in offsetting, in reducing their emissions. So World Vision also has that. So yeah, there's so much about carbon footprinting, sustainability, analytics, and environment, you know. environmental sustainability that are very interesting. So yeah, it's nice to learn about this one. And for me, huh, um, because I've seen a lot of research. So if you are in a stage of your life that you want to learn more, you want to contribute more, of course, we if you are in the related area of business analyst, that's good also. But learning new stuff, having new skills is also great. What we learned already, we are established on that already, and then let's just add some more skills, add more credits to our credentials. Yep. So yeah, I hope you learned something and you're open to learning new stuff, especially on this one because I see that less awareness, I would say, here in the Philippines compared to when I talk to people outside the country. Because even even with myself, um, I still eat beef, for example, but others they don't. Like I started something like because I noticed, for example, I see a lot of bottles. Like every week, I throw a lot of bottles. We segregate our garbage, but there's a lot of plastic bottles, used plastic bottles. Just one time for one time use. I feel very burdened on that, so I shifted to. I don't know if you see that in Facebook because it kept on showing to my feed the eco shift. So we're now using that one so just to reduce our consumption of toiletries using one-time use bottles. And it's nice to 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 reduce what we use. Yeah, so there are different ways as individuals that we can contribute. But as I was saying here that um we can, yes, we can contribute individually. We can reduce, for example, our travels. But if you can also have this professionally, it's even better. Thank you. Yeah, so if you have questions or comments, yeah, just let me know.
All right, last call for any questions. Okay. I guess we can wrap up the meeting early. Thank you again so much, Mabel, for sharing your knowledge with us on your programs. It looks very it looks I guess it's a good thing that you're very much involved in a program that's looking to take care of climate change, to manage climate change, and ultimately um, helping out the future, right, for our planet. And looking forward to learning more. Actually, I'm very excited that maybe there's an opportunity here to work together. And
Yeah.
Christian and to Christian and Trisha, thank you for attending. I hope you were able to pick up something here today. Of course, feel free to reach out to me or to the LinkedIn page if you have any ideas you would like to collaborate, or any questions. Um, Yeah. And have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Good evening.